Today we're taking you on a little journey through pasta world while riding on the edge of a camera lens. We'll be making the ever so popular, ultra luxurious and somewhat finicky, but not too much, agnolotti, potato and brown butter pillows of joy, loaded with Parmigiano Reggiano and a tiny touch of rosemary. To start, we make a fancy but basic egg yolk pasta dough. I made a little video showing you how to make 3 types of pasta doughs not so long ago, so if you're vegan or you don't have a pasta machine, go watch it later to see how to make the one that fits your needs. For this egg yolk pasta, we dump 250 grams or 2 cups of 00 flour onto a clean, working surface. Make a little well and break in 12 egg yolks, as well as 6 grams or 1 teaspoon of salt. If you're able to hold some chopsticks, then mix it with that. If not, your fingers are a bit fatter and attached to your arm, which is similar to chopsticks and will perform a similar function. You could also cheat a bit and blend it in a blender to help it come together. Add 2 tablespoons of water to make it softer, which make it easier to work with, which is recommended if you're either simply a bit lazy or simply a bit aged. Work together the dough into a smooth ball, then let it rest for a few hours at room temperature, covered with a damp cloth. It can also be frozen for later use. While your pasta is hydrating and having a relaxing time, we make the filling. We peel 2 large potatoes, which weigh around 200 grams each, cut them into chunks and boil them in salted water. While they suffer in the water, carefully brown 150 grams or a little bit more than a stick of butter in a pan of your choice. While it's browning, keep one eye on the butter, and with the other, you chop 2 sprigs of rosemary, extremely finely. Not the stalky bits, but the little leaves or blades, whichever way you want to call them. Add the chopped rosemary to the butter and keep it warm, but don't let it burn. Better remove and reheat when needed if that's easier. But now your potatoes should be cooked. Drain them and prepare a food processor. Or if you don't have it, then a hand blender or a whisk will work fine. This is one of the few recipes where boiled potato and blender feature together in the same sentence. Add the warm rosemary butter, then grate in 80 grams or 1 cup of Parmigiano Reggiano. If you're on a budget, then use whatever you like. I won't tell if you won't. And everyone else can just close their eyes. Salt and pepper. Optionally, but highly necessary, some freshly grated nutmeg. Then give it a good few pulses until you have a smooth, cheesy puree. If you're fortunate enough to have one, then place it into a piping bag. If not, simply place it into a bowl and cool the mix down. Meanwhile, you roll out your pasta, starting with a rolling pin, to make it thin enough to go through the larger setting on your pasta machine. Then feeding it through the machine a few times, until you have a long, silky smooth, leathery sheet of pasta. Cut the sheets into foot-long or 30cm pieces. You can now grab your filling, which should be chilled to make it easier to handle. The filling can be made a day before, by the way, just in case any chefs are watching. If using a piping bag, snip the end off so you have a 2 to 3 cm opening. If not, you'll carefully spoon and shape it with your fingers into a long log of filling running down the pasta sheets straight down the middle. Brush the open parts with a touch of water, so they seal tight when shaping. Next you fold the top part over to the bottom, making sure you have a nice long lip. Seal the pasta and make sure there are no air bubbles trapped in the log. And we also know by now that avoiding problems is easier than dealing with them. Also brush off any excess flour, because hopefully you lightly dust the bench and the pasta like a good nonna earlier on. Pinch the shapes tightly. You want to seal off the individual little shapes completely. Failing to do so will result in tears and me ignoring your complaints. Once sealed, you trim the long edge along the seal with a little pasta cutter or simply a knife and fork. Repeat the roll or cut through the middle of each individual shape, so they end up folded over. sealed in the insides with a little pocket, somewhat similar to a kangaroo's pouch, and perfect to catch any sauce. We shall hold plenty of sauce in this case. Naturally, you bring a pot of salted water to a boil. And while that's going, you heat the pan with plenty of butter. Boil the agnolotti for 2 minutes, then add it to the melting butter, with a touch of chopped parsley or sage if you have some. Once your agnolotti is cooked, you add it to the pan of melted butter, as well as some of the boiling water, in order to make an emulsified sauce. To serve, you season with a touch of pepper, a grating of nutmeg, and freshly shaved Parmigiano, before you and yourself go live a happy life.